So the big question on everybody's lips is obviously, where on earth have I been? It's been a very, very quiet summer on the Mr. TARDIS YouTube channel. Basically, ever since the season 1 of Doctor Who premiered on the BBC and on Disney Plus, it has been kind of quiet on the channel, not by choice. As many of you folks know, I work in the TV and film industry, and it has been an incredibly busy time for me. Normally, my summers have been like quite quiet over the past few months, which have allowed me to do other things or like do extra stuff on YouTube. But this summer has just been phenomenally stacked. In fact, my plan was, as the chat mentions, the 2023 Big Finish retrospective, the plan was to get that finished before the broadcast of Space Babies. That clearly didn't happen. We're nearly 2 months removed from the broadcast of Empire of Death, and I still haven't reviewed Dot and Bubble yet. So clearly things have been suffering on the YouTube front, which I can only apologise for. The theory that you folks should go with is that if a lot is happening on the YouTube channel, things are quiet for me in TV and film, and the opposite, vice versa. If not much is happening on the channel, it means that I'm doing an awful lot of TV and film work, because that's kind of what is my main job. That's kind of what I do, and the YouTube stuff is an incredibly fun passion that might have got slightly out of hand. There's also been some personal stuff happening over the course of this summer, which we're nearing the end of the finish line on, but I can't quite talk about yet. Hopefully, in maybe like 2-ish months' time, I might be able to talk about that stuff. But that's basically where I've been over the past summer. NDA'd, working on a really big studio show, working on some stuff in the interim on my free days as well. I've done some adverts, done some studio stuff, done some documentaries and freelance stuff. It's been a very good summer for me, basically, outside of YouTube. It means that, I've had to do a couple of like filler things. I did that stream 3 weeks ago. I had that re-upload, just diving into the Stephen Moffat topic from the Will of the Fans video, the Steelbook. Thank you so much as well to everybody who participated in and then subsequently checked out the Three Doctors quiz hosted by Stephen Noonan. We had Shah, we had Chris Walker-Thompson, we had Clever Dick Films, we had Tailored Vision. It was a very, very fun evening. We had a 20-25 minute interview with Stephen Noonan, briefly talking about Death World, which is the remake of the original version of the Three Doctors from the early 1970s, the initial draft of the story that was proposed before they realised just how bad the health situation was for William Hartnell. Then they had to readjust it and redo it. This is basically a alternate Three Doctors version, which is very good. I'm going to be reviewing it later on in the live stream, but things like that means that I've had to sort of like fill out the catalog more or less. So yeah, it's been a very busy time, but it also means that there hasn't been that much on the channel, for which I apologize for. So when it comes to the next few months on the channel, I still have a lot of studio stuff booked in for September and early October. But it won't be quite as intensive. The hours will not be quite as long, so hopefully I'll be able to work around that a bit better to finish the season 1 reviews. One of the things I really wanted to do this year was to also make a start, or hopefully finish, the Hartnell Dalek re-reviews, those original 4 Dalek stories from the Hartnell era that I did for Daleksember, but want to give them the more in-depth treatment so they can slot into the Hartnell Marathon, and then upload those like full season-long compilations, because the compilations tend to do really, really well on my channel, so that's something I want to try and do. Like my most popular video, Doctor Who-wise, with the exception of the history of the Daleks, and I want to do more versions of this. I want to do like the history of the Cybermen, history of certain Doctors and companions and stuff. It's the top 50 Doctor Who scenes, which is the compilation of the marathon that I did a while ago. So I definitely want to try and do more of those compilations, and you folks clearly want to see them. So in terms of other stuff happening on the channel though, due to popular demand, I have opened up YouTube memberships as well. I do have a Patreon, and I massively appreciate the support of my patrons there, and I didn't want this to be like an addition to the Patreon. I wanted this to I wanted this to be something that if you wanted to support me on Patreon, you can, or if you'd rather support me on YouTube memberships, you can do that as well. We've even got custom emojis. We've got the Macra emoji, we've got Christopher Eccleston doing the does he know face, we've got the Blue Peter take that badge, take that, and we've got Theo and Winnie here as well. Little emojis. The more members I get, the more emojis that I can create. So if you folks have got any requests for emojis that you can put in the live chat if you're a YouTube member, then go for it. So, with the exception of the emojis, the YouTube membership tiers and the Patreon ones are basically identical. You'll get early access to videos, you'll get your name in the credits, you'll get access to the Mr. TARDIS Discord server, and if you become a member as well, you'll get instant access to my review of Mission to the Unknown, which is currently a patron exclusive, but is now a patron and a member exclusive as well. So patrons and YouTube members will share credits and they'll share the same access as well. They get access to the Mr. TARDIS Discord server, etc., etc. So yeah, you get badges as well, which is a fun YouTube thing. So if you folks wanted to support me, but you didn't want to do it via Patreon, which is absolutely fine because that's another website you have to sign up for. Patreon have also done a thing recently where they charge differently if you're using iOS, which has gotten a lot of controversy. So if you support me via the Patreon app via iOS, I would highly recommend you take a look at that if that's something you're still comfortable doing. Obviously, we'll get Benny and Eve or Dan badges. Well, currently, because I've only just started setting up members, I only have access to 4. But if I get like another member, I get 5. If I get another, I get... The more members I get, the more emojis I can create. So basically, if you want an Evil Dan badge, if you want a Benny badge, etc., etc., then please go for it. You know, become a member is probably the best way to get more emojis, and you'll be able to have them in the live chat, which will be a lot of fun as well. So yeah, like I said, this is if you are a patron, with the exception of the emojis, because you kind of have to do this if you want to become a YouTube member. The perks are basically identical, and that stuff will be unchanged. So let me know if there's something that you folks want in terms of perks or in terms of rewards for YouTube members, which I'll try and reflect for patrons as well. If you would rather become a YouTube member and remove your patronage, that's absolutely fine. Whatever is comfortable for you, whatever you want to do, whatever, you know, it's completely up to you. So you might find the convenience of being a YouTube member much better than being a patron. Whatever is most comfortable for you. I will say though, YouTube are currently doing a thing where if you become a member, I get an extra kickback during this big promotion thing happening in September. So if you are wanting to become a member, I highly recommend you do it before the middle of September. That's the best way to support the channel. For me, go for it. Mr. TARDIS, if we get to 100 likes, I'll draw the War Benny. Yes, if you draw the War Benny, we can have a War Benny emoji, I guess. We can go for that. Or maybe Tim can just draw the War Benny just for his own amusement, his own enjoyment. Me would like a YouTube membership, Mrs. Flood. Would you now? Well, we all like a lot of things that aren't going to happen. Sexy Colin Baker emoji. If we do that, it will just be from the head up. It will just be Colin Baker from the head up, which for reference is this image. It's this image. We'll just get a head up Colin Baker emoji. We can do that. Anyway, so in terms of other stuff that I'm working on, like I said, the Season 1 reviews I'm working very hard on at the moment. The Big Finish 2023 retrospective I'm working on at the moment as well. The Hartnell Dalek stories, and then I'd like to work on either the 2nd Doctor or the 10th Doctor. We'll have to see how that goes about. But also there's another project that's sort of like gestating in the background. I told a couple of people at Hooverville this past weekend, the convention in Derby that I went to, about the project, and they seemed very excited about it, but I'm not quite willing to make it fully YouTube public yet. We'll have to see how we get along. But yeah, so that's currently my my immediate plans. I'm also wanting, of course, there's a patron requested video as well, the history of the unit dating controversy, which has sort of like been a project that I've been working on in the background as well over the course of the summer. I've not forgotten about that. Patrons requested that video, they voted on that video, so that's going to be one of my next big edited videos that's not a review. So looking forward to putting all of that together. Incoming is a vlog on my experience at Hooverville. Like I said, I met Katie Manning, Carol Ann Ford, David Goodison, Wendy Padbury, Daisy Ashford, Sadie Miller, met Graham Harper again, Simon Fisher-Becker, Philip Hinchcliffe, Dominic Glynn, amongst others. But most importantly, I met some of you wonderful folks. Some of you folks were very, very kind to me and very lovely at Hooverville. The amount of people who recognised me was, quite frankly, very, very surprising. There were times when I was queuing to see somebody in the lobby, and then somebody would say hi, and I'd like step out of the queue to say hi to them, and then my place in the queue was lost because But I don't blame anyone. It's just me having bad queue preservation skills. I'm not very good at being British, so I apologize for that. But yeah, it was amazing just meeting so many of you folks at Hooverville. You made me feel so welcome. It was a lovely, friendly, brilliant environment to be a part of. Met some wonderful people. So yeah, if I did see you at Hooverville, hello, hi, love you all, thank you so much. I was operating on about 4 hours of sleep because Hooverville was the Saturday. Wednesday was the last day of filming for this big studio thing I was working for, and I went to the wrap party and had, I didn't drink, I had Coca-Cola, but I left the wrap party at like midnight and then drove that night down to Derby, which is like a 2-hour drive, and then checked into my hotel. They had to let me in after I was tapping on the glass door, like I was an orphan child outside of the candy shop, just begging to be let in. I did not go to the prom. I did not go to the BFI. The BFI clashed with the Hooverville day. They were both on the same day, and unfortunately, if you went to the BFI, I'm sure you had a great time. But I understand that at the BFI they were screening the Happiness Patrol, but it was just the original version of the Happiness Patrol by mistake. It was not the updated, edited VFX version. So God knows what happened there. And SC Productions in the chat, yes, Hooverville was great. I saw you, and I was like, hi. And I was like, oh yeah, it's Mr. Tides, but did not have the guts to say hi. Oh, SC Productions, I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you had a great time at Hooverville. Maybe next time, but I don't bite. I promise. It was kind of mad. I was at Theo and George's desk where they were selling artwork, and Georgia was selling copies of her book Ruby Red, which she very kindly signed my copy. I was just stood there chatting with somebody, and the name Mr. TARDIS was said, and then whoever was at Theo and George's desk just immediately turned. I was like, "Oh, it's Mr. TARDIS," and then I feel like I swiped them, so I apologize, Theo and Georgia, for swiping whoever was at your table. But yeah, it was wonderful meeting all of you folks there. It was brilliant. The amount of selfies, it was brilliant. If you've got selfies, upload them, post them to me. I want to see them all. It was lovely seeing you folks. When are you going to go to the next one? I'd like to meet you in person. Hooverville next year, if it does happen again. I understand that the Derby Quad, which is a theatre in Derby, that hosts Hooverville, is under difficult financial straits at the moment. So any donations to them would be gratefully received. So we don't quite know what's going to be happening with Hooverville next year. It's very much a watch this space type of thing. TLDR, check out all of my interim stuff, but I'm sorry that there's not been that much stuff. Definitely check out the 3 Doctors quiz hosted by Big Finish's first Doctor Stephen Noonan. Hopefully there's going to be more stuff coming over the next few months, including the end of the season 1 reviews, more Hartnell stuff, and the Big Finish retrospective. YouTube memberships are a thing, so I'd massively appreciate your support through YouTube memberships. You get the same perks as you do on Patreon, plus emojis. So yeah, check them out. Your support is gratefully appreciated.